we have here a writer who has been to more writing conferences than many people that I could mention. Gail, what is one writing conference you would recommend and why?
Oh, wow.
Actually, you don't have to limit yourself to one. I take that back. You can just say whatever in terms of like for someone who wants that writer's retreat experience or at least a writer's conference to like fire up their imagination and motivate them. What would you recommend?
Now, I don't write romance, but I've been to the Romance Writers of America conference and I've been to the Romantic Times conference. And both of those were very impressive because, as we know, romance readers are passionate and involved.
Rabid.
And the biggest selling of pretty much anything on Amazon or anywhere else. So it was fascinating for me to go and to see that passion around me. Now, they were entirely different conferences. RWA was very much backed by the publishers of romance. So literally you would go and in every meal, your seat was piled with books from various publishers. Now that was cool. That was exciting. The guest speaker when I went, and this was years ago, was Sue Grafton, which I thought was kind of odd for a romance conference, but she was a wonderful speaker and all the speakers were good. And it was very encouraging to talk to different people at different levels, writers at different levels. The Romantic Times conference, on the other hand, was much more for the fans themselves. That was in Houston. And it was a lot. There were books available, but there were also book signings and again, for the fans. And it was nice to see they had cover models there, male cover models there, dressed in costume. It was rough, but that was fun. Now I've been to, Now, something like Con Carolinas is much more of a science fiction fantasy oriented gaming. That's a good one to go to. And they've had some really good people. I met Jerry Pornell there, which was a big deal for somebody. Spider Robinson was there one year for us, for a science fiction geek like myself. That was really thrilling. And it was nice to talk to the people who have been writing forever and still love it. And that was probably the biggest thing that I took away from them very much. And again, you can see the overall, I mean, there are different genres that for the conferences that I went to, but at the same time, there are people who are passionate about that genre there. And that's what I brought away from so many of them, is that they're passionate about what they're writing. And that made me even more passionate about it, as if I could get any more passionate about my writing. So
and you made friendships that way, right? Like you basically made friends with colleagues and got kind of expanded your network of people.
Absolutely. Meeting people that you admire and meeting people who feel the same way about what you're doing and because you're doing the same thing. And that it just emphasizes that you are doing the right thing for you. And that to me, one of the most important things about any kind of conference of your peers like that.
Yeah.
So, but you've been to conferences. I mean,
oh yeah. I just haven't been, I think, to the diversity or the variety of conferences I think that you've been to. That's why I wanted to get your take first. But yeah, I kind of feel like, especially sort of in the era of post-COVID, where we're more aware of how important it is to have friendships and that they span just the physical, not just physicality, but the virtual space. And so I think when I was younger, I didn't realize the full potential of how you meet and establish friendships this way. And that, I mean, Lewis, you met through one of those writers conferences, right, Gail? So.
We had been published in the same publisher, but we first met in person at a writers conference. And that one day one that we went to, the mystery oriented one that we went to in Columbia.
Remember that? The one day conference. Yeah. you know,
I love anything from one day to a whole week. I mean, there's, there, it takes you out of your routine and puts you around other
yeah.
people who are also out of their routine, and you're able to, share the problems and the joys of what we're doing, of this insane thing that we're doing.
Yeah, and I think that's important to point out because some people might have this misperception that, oh, I don't have the time or the money to go to a conference.
Hmm.
And I think the one-day mystery conference we went to in Columbia, South Carolina, that's a
Hmm.
great example. It didn't require a big budget. It was very affordable,
Hmm.
but at the same time, when you really immerse yourself, even for a day, in that other world, surrounded by people who love to do what you love to do, it is a game changer, and it does give you new ideas and
It
and
does.
and fuel.
It reinforces what you're doing. I went to a very small one that made a huge impression on me. It was in Virginia, and I was just starting out, and I was thinking I'll never be able to turn out any kind of word count. I just can't. And so we did a little simple thing. He said, "Start writing. I'm going to time you. Just start writing about absolutely anything." All right. So everybody did, and I just started writing. I was literally talking about my dog and how much I loved him and that kind of stuff, and his odd little, and this was like 18 dogs ago. So and then he said stop. He said now count it, and he said now that was in 1 minute, multiply that by 60. That's how many words you can turn out in an hour. And that just opened my eyes to,
Yeah.
yeah, I can write a awful lot of words when I sit down and just let myself do it.
Yeah.
Because
So
we put up barriers, we put up our own barriers. I can't do this, I can't do that. Yeah.
and so
That,
so that's yet another great reason to go to a writers conference or retreat is it's a way to build confidence like nothing else.
exactly, exactly. Yes, you can do this. Yes, you can. And so often we're told so many times, oh, you can't, you'll never be able to do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
That's awesome. So that's just kind of a brief overview of why you should go to writers conference or a retreat and what you can learn from it.
Mhm.